It was discovered at that time Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, was experiencing a serious medical-related issue. Personnel provided medical treatment at that time and transported Mr. Bollea to Morton Plant Hospital, where he died at 11:17 a.m.
Hulk Hogan's death was supposed to be the final chapter in the life of one of wrestling's greatest legends, but within hours, that story began to fall apart. What looked like a tragic and straightforward passing quickly turned into something far more mysterious. Investigators reportedly uncovered details that didn't seem to fit the official timeline: a home gym that appeared untouched, a security system disabled from inside the mansion, a hidden room concealed behind a basement wall, and a phone call made just 3 days before his death that reportedly left the WWE icon deeply disturbed. As more information surfaced, the questions only grew louder. Was this simply a tragic medical emergency, or was there more to the story than anyone realized? Before we uncover every detail, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest investigations, mysteries, and breaking stories. Now let's dive into the mystery behind Hulk Hogan's final days. The day Hulkamania came to a heartbreaking end began like any other, until shocking news emerged from Clearwater, Florida. On the morning of July 24, 2025, reports revealed that wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, born Terry Gene Bollea, had been found unconscious inside his home at the age of 71. A desperate 911 call alerted emergency services to a suspected cardiac arrest, prompting first responders to rush to the scene. Paramedics immediately began performing life-saving procedures, doing everything possible to revive him, but despite their relentless efforts, his heart could not be restarted. At 11:17 a.m., doctors at Morton Plant Hospital officially pronounced him dead. For millions of fans across the globe, the announcement was almost impossible to believe. The man who had defined an era of professional wrestling with unmatched charisma, incredible strength, and boundless energy was suddenly gone. As the news spread, authorities released the official findings. The medical examiner determined that Hogan had died from an acute myocardial infarction, commonly known as a massive heart attack, and ruled the death to be from natural causes. On the surface, the explanation seemed understandable. Hogan had spent decades putting his body through extraordinary punishment inside the wrestling ring, endured constant travel, and undergone more than 24 surgeries throughout his career. Years of physical wear and tear had taken an undeniable toll. However, his medical history revealed a far more complex picture than many people realized. He had quietly been living with leukemia, a serious blood disorder, as well as atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm that significantly increases the risk of sudden cardiac arrest. These hidden health struggles painted the image of a man fighting difficult battles behind the scenes while continuing to appear in public, attend events, and greet fans with the same familiar smile. Even with those medical challenges, Hogan's sudden passing left many people searching for answers. Not long before his death, he had been seen exercising, and several close friends commented that he looked healthier than he had in years. His wife, Sky Daly, frequently spoke about his commitment to meditation, nutritious eating, and daily fitness, saying he had embraced a healthier lifestyle and finally found a sense of balance after decades of physical and personal struggles. Because of that, the sudden tragedy felt even more unexpected. When officers arrived at the residence, they reportedly noticed details that encouraged them to take a closer look at the circumstances surrounding his death. Witnesses were interviewed, medical records were reviewed, and investigators carefully documented everything at the scene. Although the official cause of death remained unchanged, authorities acknowledged that the passing of someone as internationally recognized as Hulk Hogan required an especially thorough review, knowing that even the smallest unanswered question could quickly lead to widespread speculation. As tributes poured in from around the world, another narrative quietly began to emerge. Many wondered whether there was more to the story than the public initially understood. Questions started circulating about what investigators observed inside the mansion, why certain aspects of the scene reportedly attracted additional attention, and whether every detail of Hogan's final hours had been fully understood. One of the first areas reportedly examined was his private gym, a room friends and family had always described as his personal sanctuary. Filled with workout equipment, training machines, and memorabilia from his legendary career, it represented the discipline that had defined much of his life. Yet reports claimed that on the morning of his death, the room appeared unusually spotless. The equipment was neatly arranged, surfaces looked freshly cleaned, and there were few visible signs that anyone had recently completed a workout. For someone known to maintain a regular training routine, that appearance naturally stood out and became one of several details investigators carefully documented while reconstructing the events leading up to Hogan's final hours. Modern security systems record nearly everything. They create detailed logs showing exactly when cameras are activated or turned off, when alarms are armed or disarmed, and whenever any setting is changed. By rebuilding that digital timeline, investigators hope to determine who had control of the property during the crucial hours before Hulk Hogan was discovered. They also examined the home's smart technology, including thermostats, lighting controls, and automated systems that could reveal movement throughout the house. In today's investigations, even seemingly minor digital activity can become valuable evidence. A single light turning on, a thermostat adjustment, or an automated device being triggered can help establish where someone was at a specific moment. Despite examining every available record, investigators reportedly failed to find a definitive answer. The evidence suggested that the security system had been switched off, yet the available data did not clearly identify who had done it. There were no signs indicating unauthorized access from outside the property. Instead, the digital trail pointed toward someone who was already inside the home, whether Hogan himself or another individual with legitimate access. As specialists continued reviewing electronic records, attention gradually shifted away from the technology itself and toward Hogan's personal communications. Investigators believe the explanation for the unusual circumstances might not be hidden in the home's devices, but in the conversations he had during the final days of his life. While reconstructing Hogan's last week, one reported detail stood out above everything else. Just 3 days before his death, he allegedly received a late-night phone call that deeply unsettled him. According to those who were with him afterward, it wasn't the conversation they remembered most. It was the dramatic change in his demeanor once the call ended. His wife, Sky Daly, reportedly told investigators that she had never seen him react in such a way. Throughout his career, Hogan had built a reputation for remaining composed under enormous pressure, rarely allowing fear to show. Yet after ending that call, she said his expression reflected genuine concern, something completely unlike the confident man she had always known. He offered no explanation about what had been discussed. Instead, he became unusually quiet, and that silence spoke louder than words to those closest to him. Investigators reportedly determined that the phone call was anything but ordinary. Digital forensic analysts attempted to trace its origin, only to find that it had allegedly been routed through multiple servers in different countries. Every attempt to follow the trail reportedly led to another layer of redirection, making it extremely difficult to identify its true source. Such a level of concealment suggested careful planning and technical knowledge. Whoever placed the call appeared determined to remain anonymous. According to the narrative surrounding the investigation, several possibilities were considered, including the idea that it could have been a warning, an attempt at extortion, or somehow connected to sensitive information Hogan may have possessed. However, no publicly verified evidence confirmed any of those theories. What reportedly stood out to investigators was not the exact content of the call, but the profound effect it seemed to have on Hogan afterward. Sky Daily reportedly recalled that Hogan spoke only briefly before ending the conversation. For someone known for his outgoing personality and expressive nature, the unusually short exchange appeared significant. It suggested that whatever he heard required little discussion because he immediately understood its meaning. The timing only made the situation appear more unusual. In the days before the call, Hogan was said to be recovering from surgery, following his daily routines and spending time with his family. Nothing publicly suggested that his life had suddenly become unstable. Yet after that night, those around him reportedly sensed a noticeable change in his mood. The exact contents of the conversation have never been publicly disclosed, leaving unanswered questions about what, if anything, truly happened during those final days. Away from the spotlight of professional wrestling, Hogan's personal life had long been marked by strained relationships and emotional challenges. As investigators worked to understand every aspect of his final chapter, they reportedly examined his family history in detail, believing that those closest to him could provide valuable insight into his state of mind. Hogan married Linda Claridge in 1983, and together they raised 2 children, Brooke and Nick. For years, they appeared to represent the image of a close-knit American family, an impression strengthened by the success of the reality television series Hogan Knows Best, which debuted in 2005. Viewers saw Hogan as a devoted father, balancing worldwide fame with family responsibilities. Behind the cameras, however, the situation was far more complicated. Everything changed in 2007 when allegations of infidelity surfaced. Reports claimed that a woman connected to Brooke had been involved with Hogan, an accusation he publicly denied. Regardless of the denials, the marriage unraveled under intense public scrutiny. Later that year, Linda filed for divorce, bringing an end to their 24-year marriage. The separation quickly became one of the most talked-about celebrity divorces of the time, exposing years of personal conflict and turning Hogan's private struggles into front-page headlines. After the divorce, accusations were exchanged publicly, and the emotional toll on Hogan became impossible to ignore. In later interviews, he openly admitted that those years were among the darkest of his life. He spoke candidly about battling severe depression and even revealed that he had considered taking his own life. Eventually, he found the strength to rebuild. In 2010, he married Jennifer McDaniel in a private ceremony, hoping to begin a new chapter away from the spotlight. Their marriage lasted for more than a decade before quietly ending in 2021. Unlike his first divorce, the separation attracted little media attention, yet it reinforced a recurring theme throughout Hogan's personal life. Lasting peace always seemed just out of reach. Everything appeared to change once again in 2023 when Hogan married yoga instructor Sky Daly. Their relationship progressed quickly, with an engagement that surprised even some of those closest to him. Despite the initial skepticism, friends noticed a remarkable transformation. They described Hogan as calmer, healthier, and more at ease than he had been in years. He often referred to Sky as the person who had brought stability back into his life, encouraging him to focus on his health, embrace a quieter lifestyle, and leave much of the past behind. By nearly every public account, Hogan seemed genuinely content during what would become the final years of his life. Not everyone within his family, however, appeared to share in that renewed happiness. His daughter, Brooke, was noticeably absent from the wedding, reflecting a relationship that had reportedly been strained for years. Their bond had suffered through numerous public controversies, including the fallout from the highly publicized leaked tape scandal that kept Hogan in the headlines. Over time, Brooke distanced herself from family gatherings and public appearances. Although she occasionally spoke respectfully about her father, the emotional distance between them became increasingly evident. That separation attracted even more attention after Hogan's passing. Reports claimed that Brooke had been removed from his will before his death, while his son, Nick, was reportedly designated as the primary heir to an estate valued at approximately $5 million. The revelation surprised many observers and immediately fueled speculation about why one child had allegedly been excluded while the other inherited the estate. Some believed it reflected years of unresolved family tension, while others wondered if deeper disagreements had remained hidden from public view. For investigators reviewing every aspect of Hogan's personal life, financial arrangements and family relationships naturally became part of the broader picture. Although no publicly verified evidence suggested wrongdoing by any family member, understanding those dynamics was considered an important part of reconstructing the circumstances surrounding his final months. Investigators also recognized that Hogan's emotional history could not simply be overlooked. The depression he had openly discussed after his first divorce, along with the suicidal thoughts he later admitted in interviews, formed a documented part of his past. Emotional trauma can leave lasting effects that continue to influence a person's outlook and relationships long after the most painful moments have passed. Even so, those experiences alone could not explain every question that remained. As the investigation continued, attention increasingly shifted from Hogan's personal life to the condition of his body and a major surgical procedure he had undergone only weeks before his death. By the time Hogan entered his 70s, years of professional wrestling had placed extraordinary stress on his body. Decades of lifting enormous opponents, absorbing punishing impacts, and maintaining an exhausting travel schedule had left permanent physical damage. Over the course of his career, he underwent more than 24 surgeries involving his back, hips, knees, and shoulders. He had often spoken openly about those procedures, recalling periods when back surgeries temporarily left him unable to walk. While each operation helped him continue moving forward, they also added new strain to an already fragile body. One of the most significant procedures took place on May 14, 2025, when Hogan underwent a 4-level anterior cervical discectomy and fusion, commonly known as ACDF. During the operation, surgeons removed damaged discs from his cervical spine and fused multiple vertebrae together to stabilize the neck and reduce pressure on nearby nerves. Because 4 spinal levels were involved, The surgery was considerably more extensive than a typical ACDF procedure. Recovery was expected to be longer, and the risks were naturally greater, especially for a 71-year-old patient reportedly living with leukemia and atrial fibrillation. Medical experts explain that complex cervical spine surgeries can carry a variety of potential complications, particularly in older patients with existing health conditions. Following Hogan's death, speculation circulated online, suggesting that one possible concern involved the phrenic nerve, which helps control the diaphragm and plays a vital role in breathing. However, no official medical findings publicly confirmed that such a complication occurred in Hogan's case, and the official cause of death remained a heart attack. As Hogan recovered from surgery, rumors about his health spread rapidly across social media and entertainment circles. Radio personality Bubba the Love Sponge publicly claimed that Hogan was in critical condition and might not survive. Those reports were strongly disputed by Hogan's wife, Sky Daly, who insisted that he was not in a coma, that his heart remained strong, and that his recovery was progressing well. She dismissed the speculation as inaccurate and harmful, reassuring fans that although the surgery had been serious, Hogan was steadily improving. In the weeks that followed, Hogan appeared to reinforce that optimistic picture. He was photographed smiling with fans, making public appearances, and gradually returning to light workouts at home. One widely circulated photograph showed him happily posing with supporters outside his Clearwater residence, giving many people the impression that his recovery was moving in the right direction and that he was preparing to enjoy another chapter of life after surgery. After the divorce, both sides exchanged public accusations, and the emotional impact on Hogan became impossible to hide. In later interviews, he admitted that those years pushed him into severe depression and that he had even contemplated ending his life. Over time, he rebuilt his life and married Jennifer McDaniel in 2010. Their marriage lasted more than a decade, before quietly ending in 2021. Although the split stayed largely out of the headlines, it reinforced a pattern of instability in Hogan's personal life. In 2023, Hogan married yoga instructor Sky Daly. Friends noticed a dramatic change in him, describing him as calmer, healthier, and more focused than he had been in years. Hogan often credited Sky for helping him embrace a peaceful lifestyle centered on fitness, meditation, and family. By most accounts, he seemed genuinely happy during the final chapter of his life. However, family tensions remained. His daughter Brooke did not attend the wedding, reflecting a relationship that had reportedly been strained for years. After Hogan's death, reports claimed she had been removed from his will, while his son Nick became the primary heir to an estate worth about $5 million. The decision surprised many people and naturally became one of the many details investigators reviewed while examining Hogan's personal affairs. Although no evidence publicly linked any family member to wrongdoing, understanding those relationships helped provide important context. If you enjoyed this video and want more deep dives into the biggest stories in wrestling history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next investigation. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and your support truly helps us bring more high-quality documentaries like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.